Welcome to The Source with your host, Dr. C.T. Curry, and co-host Kobe Owens. News all across the nation. The Source. Stay in the loop in the city of Wilmington, Delaware. Work together for change in the community. A call to action to find the resources. The Source. The latest in news.
Good evening, this is Dr. Curry, and welcome to The Source. Today, we are not joined with our co-host, Brother Kobe Owens. He has got stuck into the airport and could not get back in time, but we wish him well, and we hope that he is able to return safely. He's out on the battlefield doing the great things that he does in order to support the community upon which he have been certainly appointed to represent. Today, as we look at our source, we don't have any shootings that we have reported that we are aware of. So we want to turn our attention to something that we did get some information on, and we're getting ready to do some more investigating on it. And it's dealing with the opioid money that was given to the state in order to help and assist. Matt Myers had certainly had a debate or had a conversation with Bethany Hall Long, and they were talking, and there was some information that was shared that kind of troubled me. And he has a claim, he's claimed, meaning Matt Myers, that Bethany kind of used money inappropriately and misappropriated by giving it to people who did not deserve it. Here's a quick clip of the conversation, and I'll come back.
So the lieutenant governor can come up and spout and talk about the impact that the leadership has had on opioids. But the fact is, we're the third highest in the country today in per capita opioid deaths. That's not acceptable. We can't keep cutting ribbons, keep giving out grants to groups like Congo Funeral Home, which recently got several $100,000 of your opioid fund money that's supposed to address this epidemic, this crisis. We need to work together to actually solve problems, and we, as the community, need to hold elected leaders accountable so that we're actually achieving the outcomes that we all deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. At some point, I hope that we do continue a conversation, because I know this is not a debate and a rebuttal.
Yes.
But I take that very personally, and I'm not going to debate you here, sir. But I'm at people's graveyards, and I am at funerals and funeral homes, bury families who have no money. So I just took that very personally.
Yes.
And so I would ask that we keep this a conversation and not attack each other, please. Thank you.
Yes.
Because that is personal. Somebody's buried their child, and that's all.
If I may.
I just want to make sure that you had an opportunity to see what I was speaking of. This is a very serious issue when you're dealing with opioids. We've really had some serious problems with it. And the drug has hurt and lamed so many in our community. To be third in the nation is really a problem. But if the money is not being given to who it needs to be given to, it troubles me. And this really bothered me when I happened to see this clip from another source. It bothered me greatly. And for those of you who watch us every week, you know my whole goal is to make sure that I'm bringing you relevant news, relevant information. This is serious. If this is true, I don't believe that we need to even think second on who we need not to support. But we want to make sure we will be coming back next week. Kobe Owens is on this, as well as myself, and we got some more information that we're trying to get. I'm even going to try to bring on to the show, onto our cast, certain people who can be able to bring some clarity to whether or not this money was given out inappropriately, and if it was, why, when we have so many people in our community who are suffering. This is what we really got to pay a close attention to. So today on this show, we wanted to make sure that we continue to do our show. We wanted to bring that to the front so you all would know about it, but we have many, many more things we need to talk about today. So why don't you stay tuned with us, and we'll be right back.
Join us live for our weekly worship. Every Sunday at 8 a.m. on Facebook. Facebook and YouTube.
Well, Pastor, I'm doing the best I can, but I still gotta have a little Chardonnay, and I still gotta have a little this, and I gotta still sneak around. The devil is a liar. That's an excuse.
Wilmington's most exciting church. Local news and politics in the city of Wilmington, Delaware. The latest headlines with your host, Dr. C.T. Curry.
But they get rich, getting new cars, getting new houses, getting new opportunities, but the community is still getting nothing.
And co-host, Kobe Owens.
And from that time, we have slowly seen our democracy become under attack.
Weekly episodes. Sundays at 5 p.m. The Source.
As a mom, I want my kids' lives to be filled with joy and possibility. And I want that for every kid. That's why I support No Kid Hungry. They work in schools and communities to make sure every kid gets the healthy meals they need. Please join me in supporting No Kid Hungry for all kids.
Thank you!
Christopher Holton. I'm very active. It was a Saturday morning. Normally I go for my normal walk.
With no warning, Chris suffered a near-fatal heart attack. But thankfully, Brian Buckley, a bystander, saw him collapse and rushed to help.
He did this big gasp for air and then just stopped. It's like I went into autopilot. It's like all that training I did back in the day around CPR just magically came out of nowhere.
Because of the CPR training that Brian received, Chris did make it and didn't die on the trail that day. CPR training provided by the American Heart Association.
Looking at your hands, these two hands could save a life.
Being a father, you want to be around. You want to be around for your kids.
Heart disease is America's #1 killer. To learn more about how the American Heart Association helps save lives, go to helpheart.org.
And we're back. I hope and trust that you really pay close attention to this next segment of our show. I'm concerned about racism in America. I'm concerned about some of the things that is going on in our local community. But something that happened in Illinois that really troubled me. It was in the news this week, and I wanted to bring it to your attention if you've not heard. A woman who had called for assistance where she felt that someone was in her home or trying to intrude into her home. And she called the police, and they came, and everything seemed to be fine and calm. And then all of a sudden, they wanted to continue to prowl. The police did, and they asked her questions. They ended up going into her home. She had water boiling, and when the water was boiling, then she basically was taking the water off, and the police officer said, "I don't want to get burnt from your hot water." And she said, "In the name of Jesus, I rebuke that." And immediately he took to the offense. They pull out their guns. Things happen. I want you to take a look at this, and then I'm gonna come back and just share a few thoughts on that.
One task at a time. So let's do an ID. And then you can dig around for your paperwork.
I don't know where my ID is.
You have that stack right there, maybe?
Okay. 1 second.
Check on her.
I need this.
No, we don't need a fire while we're here.
Right. Okay. Let me see. Okay.
All right.
Where you going?
Huh?
Where you going?
Away from your hot steaming water.
Away from my hot steaming water?
Yeah.
rebuke you in the name of Jesus. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
You better fucking not. I swear to God, I'll fucking shoot you right in your fucking face.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Drop the fucking pot! Drop the fucking pot! Drop the fucking pot!
19 shots fired.
Shots fired! Shots fired! Drop the fucking pot! Bring EMS now. We got a headshot wound to the female. Headshot wound to the female. 1078. Fuck.
I was on. I'm gonna go get my kit.
Now, if you headshot, bitch, you're actually done. You can go get it, but that's a headshot. God damn it.
God, fuck.
Dude, I'm not taking fucking boiling hot water to the fucking head. And look, it fucking came right to our feet, too. God damn it.
Fuck. God damn it.
You good?
I'm good. You good?
Yeah, I'm good. What's her got? Let her fucking just... God. There's nothing we can do, man.
Fuck.
You good? Alright. Fuck. Well, I mean, you know, what else do we do? I'm not taking hot boiling water to the fucking face, and it already reached us.
Fuck. They got a 52 en route?
Yeah, 1078.
I do want to make sure that you all understand a few things. This was reported by NBC News, CNN, many outlets, and I was troubled. Being Black in America, being African American, or being Latino in America is very, very dangerous. We're seeing it at all kind of levels. Even when Donald Trump was shot allegedly just a few weeks ago, it's just too much suspicion is being placed on people of color, but not people who are not of color. I don't think we would have been able to stand on top of a rooftop and then start shooting without the snipers getting us right away. So that sensitivity training is really not working the way it needs to work. This woman was in her house. This woman called for assistance. This woman is now dead. We have to pay close attention and stop saying that we always playing the race card for those of you who are privileged and feel like, you know what, they're just playing the race card. They're just playing the race card. No, it's a real reality that being African American or being a person of color in this country is very, very dangerous. And I feel for this family where this woman basically pleaded the blood, which those of us who are part of the Christian community, we do that when people make comments or do things that we consider to be demonic, but to be shot that many times, 3 times, and then they take time, pause, and don't move expeditiously, even though one of the cops said, let me go get my equipment, and he kind of slowed him down. That's inappropriate. Yes, it is true that they fired him right away and other things happening. There are attorneys who are on the case, but we should not get to that place. So I really want us to start thinking about protecting each other and making sure that the system does not get away with these type of things. Next week, we're going to bring this back to the front. I'll have a co-host who will be able to assist me in communicating this to you much stronger. But I wanted to bring that to you because that would seem to be very, very much important. We'll be right back.
Hello, Wilmington. I am Michelle Harley, and I represent the 4th Councilmatic District. The communities in the 4th District are Southbridge, the Riverfront, Midtown Brandywine, Trinity Vicinity, and a portion of the East Side. I am running for my re-election on Tuesday, September the 10th for the 4th District City Council seat, and I would love for you to donate and to consider volunteering. To learn more about what I am doing and what I plan to do, you can visit my website at www.michelleharley.com. Together, we can move the 4th District forward. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Marcus Henry, and I'm running for Newcastle County Executive. I spent over 20 years working in state and local government, trying to bring the good programs and services you deserve here in Newcastle County. Please support my campaign. please look us up at marcushenryde.com for further information. I look forward to meeting you all over the next year, and I look forward to your support. Thank you.
Attention corporate heroes. Your support isn't just a gesture, it's a catalyst for change. Making Strides Against Breast Cancer salutes the incredible impact of our corporate sponsors. Your partnership fuels the engines of progress, helping us pave the way towards a breast cancer-free world. Every donation you make strengthens the foundation of research and care. Every volunteer effort you invest creates a ripple effect of compassion. And when your employees join our walks, they embody the spirit of unity and determination that defines our movement. Visit our website today to explore how your corporation can become a beacon of hope. Your sponsorship isn't just a logo. It's a commitment to shaping a healthier, brighter future. Join Making Strides Against Breast Cancer, and let's stride hand in hand towards a world where corporate compassion sparks real change.
Normally during this time of the show, we have the Kobe Corner, and he'll talk about the national news. Well, I'm going to act as if I'm Kobe today, and I'm not going to do a lot of talking about legislation and different races that are going on, but I am going to talk about some good news. This last week was something exciting for the Democratic Party. Kamala Harris have been certainly nominated, and she's got enough delegates to become the presumptive nominee for the Democratic Party for President of the United States of America. Let me just tell you about the excitement. We have not experienced this level of excitement since Barack Obama was nominated to be president for the Democratic Party. And I want to say that the excitement is so strong. 40,000+ women were on one call just to be able to share their excitement and their finances. They've raised over $250 million since she has been nominated to be the candidate for the Democratic Party. There were over 21,000 brothers on a call last week. The excitement is in the atmosphere, and it's not just African Americans. It's African Americans, it's Latinos, it's European Americans. We are gracious and excited, rather, should I say. We are excited about what's going on. Now, I want to certainly take a moment to thank President Biden for doing a very good job. He's been one of the best presidents we've had. He got a lot passed. He tried his best to do what he could, but his age has failed him at this point and is starting to show up. The office of presidency is a heavy weight. We saw Barack Obama being a young guy going in, but came out fully grayed because there was a lot of stress to being the president. And I believe that Joe Biden, had he done it a little bit earlier in his life, would have certainly did 2 terms, but he wasn't able to. But he's accomplished a whole lot and especially even in our community as African Americans. He has accomplished a whole lot, tried to push legislation to get the John Lewis bill passed and many other things. Wasn't successful in that area. He also tried to get rid of some of that student debt, was able to really get that. I know people personally whose student debt was forgiven. So there was a whole lot done, and I hope we will be able to celebrate our Delawarean to the highest level possible. But I want to turn your attention for just a second of the excitement that was going on. For those of you who didn't get a chance to see Kamala Harris's first speech as the presumptive nominee for the Democratic Party, I want to give you an opportunity to see this, and then we'll be right back.
JOD has been such an incredible leader of this team, and that is why I have just asked her to run my campaign, and she has accepted. And so over the next 106 days, we are going to take our case to the American people, and we are going to win. We are going to win. And so now I'm getting back to you, Joe. I will tell you all, it has been one of the greatest honors of my life, truly, to serve as vice president to our president, Joe Biden. Joe's legacy of accomplishment, just over a lifetime, but just over the last 3.5 years, is unmatched in modern history. In one term, he has already surpassed the legacy of most presidents who served 2 terms in office. Think about it. And I know everyone here in the campaign, we know. But if we don't know, we got a problem. But I'm going to repeat some for those who might be guests at the moment. Joe got the COVID-19 pandemic under control. Remember those days? He has created more than 15 million new jobs. He brought together Republicans and Democrats and passed historic legislation. And I'm going to tell you, I'm a firsthand witness to all this work. I would sit with Joe in the Oval Office while he would bring members of both sides of the aisle and talk and listen and help them see what they may have in common and how we can actually work towards solutions. And because of their confidence in Joe, these accomplishments occurred. Joe has stood up for democracy at home, and he has stood up for democracy abroad, and he has always stood up for what he believes is right. And many of you may know, I first came to know Joe through his son, Beau. Beau and I worked together as state attorneys general. And back then, Beau would often tell me stories about his dad. And he would talk about the kind of father and the kind of man that Joe Biden is. And he would talk about the qualities of his father. And the qualities that Beau revered the most are the same qualities that I see every day in our president. His honesty, his integrity, his commitment to his faith and his family, his big, big heart, and his deep love of our country. And I don't need to tell you all, you know Joe's background, right? I mean, he grew up in a middle-class family in Scranton, and he has never forgotten where he comes from. And so, again, I am a first-hand witness from being with him in the Oval Office to the Situation Room and seeing him on the global stage with world leaders. President Joe Biden fights for the American people, and we are deeply, deeply grateful for his service to our nation.
I'm watching. I'm watching.
I knew it.
We love you, Joe. You're the best, kid.
And let us be very clear, Joe is not done. Far from it. He knows there is still more work to do, and our nation will continue to praise his bold and visionary leadership as president. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
And it is my great honor to have Joe's endorsement in this race.
You sure do.
And it is my intention to go out and earn this nomination and to win. So in the days and weeks ahead, I, together with you, will do everything in my power to unite our Democratic Party, to unite our nation, and to win this election. You know, as many of you know, before I was elected as vice president, before I was elected as United States Senator, I was the elected Attorney General, as I've mentioned, of California, and before that I was a courtroom prosecutor. In those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. And in this campaign, I will proudly put my record against his. As a young prosecutor, when I was in the Alameda County District Attorney's Office in California, I specialized in cases involving sexual abuse. Donald Trump was found liable by a jury for committing sexual abuse. As Attorney General of California, I took on one of our country's largest for-profit colleges and put it out of business. Donald Trump ran a for-profit college, Trump University, that was forced to pay $25 million to the students it scammed. As district attorney, to go after polluters, I created one of the first environmental justice units in our nation. Donald Trump stood in Mar-a-Lago and told big oil lobbyists he would do their bidding for a $1 billion campaign contribution. During the foreclosure crisis, I took on the big Wall Street banks and won $20 billion for California families, holding those banks accountable for fraud. Donald Trump was just found guilty of 34 counts of fraud. But make no mistake, all of that being said, this campaign is not just about us versus Donald Trump. There is more to this campaign than that. Our campaign has always been about two different versions of what we see as the future of our country, two different visions for the future of our country. One focused on the future, the other focused on the past. Donald Trump wants to take our country backward to a time before many of our fellow Americans had full freedoms and rights. But we believe in a brighter future that makes room for all Americans. We believe in a future where every person has the opportunity not just to get by, but to get ahead. We believe in a future where no child has to grow up in poverty, where every person can buy a home, start a family, and build wealth, and where every person has access to paid family leave and affordable child care. That's the future we see. Together, we fight to build a nation where every person has affordable health care, where every worker is paid fairly, and where every senior can retire with dignity. All of this is to say, building up the middle class will be a defining goal of my presidency. Because we here know when our middle class is strong, America is strong. And we know that's not the future Donald Trump is fighting for. He and his extreme Project 2025 will weaken the middle class and bring us backward. Please do note that. Back to the failed trickle-down policies that gave huge tax breaks to billionaires and big corporations and made working families pay the cost. Back to policies that put Social Security and Medicare on the chopping block. Back to policies that treat health care as only a privilege for the wealthy instead of what we all know it should be, which is a right for every American. Right. America has tried these economic policies before. They do not lead to prosperity. They lead to inequity and economic injustice. And we are not going back. We are not going back. You're not taking us back. Our fight for the future is also a fight for freedom. Generations of Americans before us have led the fight for freedom, from our founders to our framers, to the abolitionists and the suffragettes, to the freedom riders and farm workers. And now I say, team, the baton is in our hands. We who believe in the sacred freedom to vote, we who are committed to fight to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act and the Freedom to Vote Act. We who believe in the freedom to live safe from gun violence. And that's why we will work to pass universal background checks, red flag laws, and an assault weapons ban. We who will fight for reproductive freedom, knowing if Trump gets the chance, he will sign a national abortion ban to outlaw abortion in every single state, but we are not going to let that happen. It is this team here that is going to help in this November to elect a majority of members of the United States Congress who agree the government should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. And when Congress passes a law to restore reproductive freedoms, as President of the United States, I will sign it into law. Indeed, we the people. So ultimately, to all the friends here, I say, in this election, we know we each face a question. What kind of country do we want to live in? A country of freedom, compassion, and rule of law? Yes! Or a country of chaos, fear, and hate? No. You all are here because you as leaders know we each, including our neighbors and our friends and our family, we each as Americans have the power to answer that question. That's the beauty of it, the power of the people. We each have the ability to answer that question. So in the next 106 days, we have work to do. We have doors to knock on. We have people to talk to. We have phone calls to make. And we have an election to win. So are you ready to get to work? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity? Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we willing to fight for it? And when we fight, we win. God bless you all, and God bless the United States of America and Joe Biden.
Hey, this is Pastor Curry, pastor of the Zion Fair Baptist Church, Wilmington's most exciting church, the church that love ya and anything you can do about it. What we're going to do today is we're going to have a real good conversation. I'm excited. Come on! Every Sunday at 11 a.m. Why don't you call somebody real quickly? Tell them Coffee with Curry is on. And let's get after it.
Jason, let's go see your room.
No, that's not right. How was it? Is it good? The drive to move forward. For some people, it's a part of who they are. And it's who we are too. For 130 years, Strayer University has been at the forefront of change, with programs that help students get and stay ahead, so you can keep striving.
As Black women, we are more likely to be diagnosed with breast cancer at younger ages. We are more likely to have cancers that are high-grade tumors. And there's also a very poorly understood higher incidence of male breast cancer in the African American community. My name is Dr. Lisa Newman. I'm Chief of Breast Surgery for Weill Cornell Medicine. I'm leader of the Multidisciplinary Breast Program for the New York Presbyterian Hospital Network, and I'm also the Medical Director for the International Center for the Study of Breast Cancer Subtypes. We do need to pay attention to social determinants of health and inadequate care. But when it comes to a diagnosis of breast cancer, race is also associated with genetic patterns related to our ancestral background. As we learn more about the genetic factors that cause these biologically aggressive tumors, this is going to be important for women around the world because it's going to lead to better prevention, better detection, and hopefully complete eradication of this disease.
As promised, we had an opportunity to record the lieutenant governor's debate, which occurred last Monday at the Canaan Baptist Church. And I want to take this opportunity to thank Brother Chris Bullock, as well as the Canaan family, for hosting the lieutenant governor's debate, and the Urban League who sponsored it. It was a very good debate, and we got an opportunity to really hear some good information and really weigh out the candidates. What you're getting ready to see now is just some snippet shots or snippet comments with all the questions that were asked, so you can get a feel for how the night went. For those of you who were not able to go, certainly we didn't want to do the whole thing because it would be too long. The sound is not as good as we would like for it to be. We apologize for that in the front end, but it's strong enough for you to be able to hear the candidates and to hear and see the question and hear the answers that they provided. Let's take a look at that and I'll come back.
As Lieutenant Governor, you are responsible for charging the Board of Pardons. What is your vision for the board under your leadership, and how will you make it equitable?
The next thing that needs to happen is working with our state, members of nonprofits and different organizations, so that we can ensure that people, when they get their second chances, they get affordable housing, economic opportunities, and they're able to reciprocate back into the system.
It's our responsibility to keep the improvements of the Board of Pardons going. And as Lieutenant Governor, I would keep those turnover times high. But at the same time, we need to lead with integrity and thoughtfulness, a group of individuals who have to be focused on second chances and true justice for those justice involved and those victims in the system.
We seem to think that those who are elected or appointed to positions have all the answers.
And what I frequently do is ask the people that are most impacted by those decisions. If you talk with the people who have been through the pardon process, or those that are hoping that they're going to be fully restored and how that process works, to ask them what they think the system needs. I would even
Follow up. Would you support adding non-state official seats to the Board of Pardons?
Right now, the only individuals who are on the board of parole are individuals who are statewide elected officials. Therefore, there has not been equity nor access for communities of color.
We can't do it alone. And so we're gonna not only have to champion the cause of bringing people in who have historically been outside of the system, but we're gonna have to be the messengers to the legislature and to the state and to the governor who would sign the legislation, right, to ensure that that's gonna get done.
Sorry about that. Obviously, my answer will be short because I foresaw the issue to begin with. And I think that's what you need, that somebody that's not looking at how we've always done things or the Delaware way, but has that vision to look at how it can and how it should be and how to incorporate the community into those decisions.
Despite accounting for 28% of live births, Black women in Delaware represent 78% of pregnancy-related deaths. As governor, what are your plans to lessen these kinds of horrific disparities for Black and brown people in the state of Delaware?
Thank you. I just wanted to add, when we talk about what's happening in maternal health, and we're talking about our Black and minority communities, we also need to remember Black and brown communities. I represent a significant Latino population in Sussex County, 23%, and they face some of the very same challenges in addition to language barriers.
That's why I was incredibly honored to sponsor legislation for prenatal and postnatal maternal mental health, because we lose too many moms in the first year of motherhood, and because the disparities persist even in that first year.
Having served as a co-prime sponsor on the legislation with Representative Melissa Brown as it pertains to Black women and maternal health, I must say that it is a scary thing for Black women when we go to the hospitals, because a lot of times we're not understood, we're ignored, and when we say that we have pain, no one really wants to pay attention to us.
What would you say your greatest accomplishment was or is, and how will you use your relationships to continue to move policy even though you can only vote if it is a tie as Lieutenant Governor?
I am incredibly proud of the voting rights work that we have done in Dover. My very first bill, SB 5, was automatic voter registration, and since that has gone into effect, 49,000 additional voter registrations in our state. This electorate will be the most numerous and diverse that we've had.
There are several. House Bill 119, making Juneteenth a permanent paid state holiday. House Bill 198, adding Black history to the state's curriculum. There are a plethora of them, but those are the top three. Thank you.
Another gentleman stood up and said, we sometimes were very odd about our agreement on things because it came down to values and beliefs. But he said, you are the most authentic person here. That's what builds positive outcomes when you want to preside over a Senate that is diverse with a lot of different issues, and that's what I'm proud to do.
Over the past several years, the Delaware renting market has become increasingly unaffordable. What are your thoughts on rent stabilization laws that limit how high rent can be raised in a year?
I think the best solution is to stop some of the things that we have done that have caused rents to go up, and to encourage, as I have done by meeting with different people, developers to go ahead and develop, because if you look, we're not seeing new apartments being built, we're not seeing renovation.
That these same families who can't afford their rent also can't afford childcare and also have trouble with transportation. And so what we have to think about is holistic measures in order to help families afford the cost of living here in Delaware.
I recently met with builders, home builders, and one of the things we discussed is you're doing extremely well up and down the state. But can you take a portion, just a percentage of the homes that you're building and make sure they're affordable so that our educators can live in the communities in which they're teaching, so that our nurses...
How do you plan to increase access to early care and education, recognizing its importance in shaping the future of our state, especially in Black or brown communities?
All of our children should have access starting at the age of 3. I started school when I was 3. Every child should be able to have that kind of access, because that access prepares you for life.
Early childhood education is about small businesses too. My grandmother started an early childhood education center out of her house when she moved to this country in the 50s, so that she could take care of my mom and support her family. You have families doing that across our state today. It's also about educators.
Parents need to work, and parents, in order to work, need to have quality childcare available to them. And that should, once again, not just be determined by the wages and the ability that you're able to pay, because every job is important.
If for some reason the governor's seat becomes open, please explain why you believe you are best suited to step up on day one as governor.
Having served a number of years on joint finance and helping with grant and aid, I understand how the money is made from the revenue side, how and where the money is spent, and those important things. And I think I've also demonstrated the integrity, the leadership, and the respect that you need to have when you're in that elected office. And so
The person who will take over for the governor needs to be prepared, they need to be a good listener, they need to be a convener, and they need to go in with their eyes open that they don't have all the answers themselves, but they need to know how to build a team.
I finished what I started. I was on city council. I finished the term. I'm state representative. I did 3 terms, 3 full terms. As a member of the Board of Parole, I finished that before I became a state representative. The lieutenant governor, having to become the governor, you must finish what you start.
We have to improve schools and education to have better economic development. What is the plan to ensure that? What is the vocational plan?
Operations like DSU's Early Childhood Education Professional Training Program are giving opportunities for individuals to fill the very need that we have in Delaware. We need to do more to connect those low-tech schools to those opportunities of higher learning, and we need to make sure we're giving individuals credits as they get their associates, their certifications, and they move on and choose.
So I'm looking forward to continuing the work with the community, ensuring that we're working with our low-tech schools, in all schools up and down the state, because everyone's not going to college. But let's make sure that our children are prepared for the workforce. And so the low-techs will always have.
But beyond that, I have advocated for increased apprenticeship programming throughout the state. We only had 3 programs at one time in Sussex County for apprenticeship, for journeyman, for a way to get from one level to the other. We know the demand, we need to fit that demand, and we need to also—
How do you feel in regards to the wave of governmental mandates that have given incentives and tax credits to EV owners and disadvantages to those who are in fossil fuel cars? What side do you fall on?
I think what we have to look for in Delaware is, number one, let's be realistic. We do not have the capacity on our power grid to fuel electric cars. Number 2, people cannot afford. I had a friend that owns a dealership. They sold one of their first EV Jeeps. The battery failed within 6 months. It was a $13,000 replacement, and they had to wait over 6 months.
And so what we are doing as a state is placing the administration of this transition in the appropriate place, not in legislation, but in regulation. And so that we can be nimble and adaptive as a state, as we build out the grid, as the technology improves, and as we move towards what will necessarily be a transformational change in energy, whether we're ready for it or not.
Why would I want to put a mandate on someone who, and we're talking about a lack of affordability regarding vehicles. So let's be real about this. Let's be mindful that in the city of Wilmington, where's this supposed to happen? At St. Francis Hospital?
State employee staffing shortages. Your comments in regards to that.
When you look at the budget and you see what matters to the state of Delaware, that's when you'll figure out we need to ensure that we are taking care of our state employees. And so often that's not what's happening. So as your next lieutenant governor, I'm looking forward to working with all of you to take care of the state.
I've consistently asked for increases every 3 years. You see consistently that we look to other investments than state workers, and we do not have the political courage to reimagine state service in a way that recruits and retains valuable, dedicated employees and rewards them for their service.
You keep your commitments and you will keep your employees. When you start changing benefits, or when a person gets near retirement and you start taking things away, that sends a message to others. Why would I want to work for you when you don't keep your promise or your commitment to me?
With the influx of people becoming seniors, what will you do to help them with issues such as medications, rent, transportation, and pensions?
I'm already doing that work. actually would go out with our lieutenant governor in the different communities, going up and down the state and reaching out to the different populations, particularly our seniors. But I can tell you that I've been to more homegoings for young people than I have for seniors. And so what we need to do is figure out how we're working to ensure that our seniors are helping with our children.
Making changes in our current ecosystem to help seniors and those aging in Delaware is going to be about workforce and vocational training and making sure that there are well-paying jobs and that our contracts for our state, when our state is paying for that, are well-funded and equal to the rates that individuals could seek jobs in other places.
And we have some very difficult things because number one, we lack the infrastructure in Delaware for medical care for them. Getting access to physicians and many specialties they need are not there. The second thing we lack is transportation for them. One of the worst things though that they face, and it happened during COVID, was that isolation.
How are we going to help our public schools improve their reading, math skills, and critical thinking? What are your changes that you would like to see? I'm also asking, because you're legislators, what are some things you want to do while in there?
But finally, let's look at attendance. Kids can't learn if they're not in school. Wilmington has one of the highest absentee rates of students in the state. We need to know why. What's the underlying reason why they can't get in school to learn?
Let's talk about preparedness to enter the workforce or for higher education. Let's talk about the ability to self-regulate. Let's talk about the ability for children to leave our school system prepared for everything the world will throw at them.
If we have cancer clusters, we can have healthy clusters in this state. And so our children are now learning to grow the foods that they can eat and take home. We're shifting the mindset of our children in the families. So figure out ways that we can work together and deal with the social emotional issues. We can use agriculture, the number one industry in the state.
Dear doctor, your screens say my mom. You can keep my screens now.
Join us live for our weekly worship. Every Sunday at 8 a.m. on Facebook and YouTube.
Well, Pastor, I'm doing the best I can, but I still gotta have a little Chardonnay, and I still gotta have a little this, and I gotta still sneak around. The devil is a liar. That's an excuse.
Wilmington's most exciting church.
We need volunteers, we need mentors, and we need sponsorship. So please think about donating to Duffy's Hope. Go on our website, duffyshopeinc.org, and donate that way. You can call us at 302-652-3532. We can take your payment over the phone. You can mail us a check at 100 West 10th Street, Suite number 9, Wilmington, Delaware, 19801. Also, you can donate your time. If you don't have money, donate your time. Come help us with the garden. Help us mentor or help be a tutor, things like that. So please think about donating to Duffy's Hope.
As a mom, I want my kids' lives to be filled with joy and possibility. And I want that for every kid. That's why I support No Kid Hungry. They work in schools and communities to make sure every kid gets the healthy meals they need. Please join me in supporting No Kid Hungry for all kids.
Christopher Holton. I'm very active. It was a Saturday morning. Normally I go for my normal walk.
With no warning, Chris suffered a near-fatal heart attack. But thankfully, Brian Buckley, a bystander, saw him collapse and rushed to help.
He did this big gasp for air and then just stopped. It's like I went into autopilot. It's like all that training I did back in the day around CPR just magically came out of nowhere.
Because of the CPR training that Brian received, Chris did make it and didn't die on the trail that day. CPR training provided by the American Heart Association.
Looking at your hands, these two hands could save a life.
Being a father, you want to be around. You want to be around for your kids.
Heart disease is America's #1 killer. To learn more about how the American Heart Association helps save lives, go to helpheart.org.
Well, that's our show for today. And listen, I miss my buddy Kobe today because he certainly would have kept this show rolling. But he's out doing a good work. He was stuck in the airport and wasn't able to get back to us. Whether we were talking about the fact that there's going to be an investigative report regarding this opioid allegation that Bethany Hall-Long allegedly had given out to people who did not deserve to have it. However, they got it, and that's a serious charge because at the end of the day, if by some chance people receive that money and they have not, and please hear me carefully, and they have not done the work of trying to avoid opioids getting more prevalent in our communities, then that could be a trick of the enemy to also keep us down and oppress. And we want to make sure that is not occurring. We talked a little bit about the shooting. The racism that is going on in America is just unbelievable. It's unmeasurable. And I hope and trust that as they move forward, that not only have even the police officers are fired, but also be criminally held accountable for what they did. That was just outright inhumane, and I'm very, very hurtful for it. Kamala Harris came to the city, and she was able to launch her bid for presidency here. What a historical moment, and I'm excited about it, and I'm glad we can get on a ticket or get with a ticket that a lot of people have joined in forces. We hope that you would tell other people, make sure that you're voting. And last but certainly not least, we had an opportunity to deal with the Lieutenant Governor's debate. It was great. I hope you enjoyed the little snips that we gave you. We want to thank the Canaan family for hosting it. We're getting ready to have the mayoral debate here at Zion Fair. We will give you those dates at the very next show. But I thank you for the time that we shared together today. Again, I miss my friend Kobe. He'll be back with me next week. Until the next time, may the Lord God bless you real good.